Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Your Mac Life for Wednesday, August the 31st, 2016, show number 1107. I am your host, Shawn King. Thank you guys very much for joining me here this Wednesday evening or in the archive whenever you so choose to tune in. It's the last day of August. Summer is over. It's raining in Vancouver and going to continue to rain for the next 4 frickin' days. Crap. Damn it. Doggone it. Shoot. Also, hopefully you guys have had a good summer or continue to good. The kids are going back to school next week, so this is, I guess, the last week you can have to put up with the kids. I guess kids going back to school is good for parents. Get little buggers out of the house. But when we were kids, we weren't in the house, were we? It wasn't anything to do in the house. When we were kids, you went outside because that's where stuff happened. We didn't have Xbox and PlayStation and the internet and that kind of stuff. We went outside. It was tough to get back in the house. It was the old, be home before the streetlights come on kind of thing. When most of us were kids, we were outside 9, 10, 12 hours of the day. Monty says school has been back in session here for almost a month now. Wow. Mosquito says the end of summer still fills me with dread of the new school year. It's been 30 years since I had to think about that crap. And that's true, too, isn't it? How many of us feel the same way? We all get kind of sad because school starts on Tuesday, but we haven't been going to school in years. But there's still that, and most of us have been out of school longer than we were in school. And yet you still kind of feel, oh, well, school's back. So, anyway. On tonight's show, as always, we'll talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. 2 big news items this week and next week. Earlier this week, Apple announced that they were going to do their next Apple event next Wednesday. So this time next Wednesday, we will be discussing what happened a few hours earlier. We're going to have a Telegram room set up if you want to join us next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time to chat about what Apple's going to announce. We'll talk to Jim about what he expects to see, but new iPhones are guaranteed. The iPhone 7 is coming out next Wednesday. What kind of features it's going to have, what kind of configurations are going to be, we don't know. There are all kinds of rumors. I don't care. I'll find out next Wednesday. I don't read the rumors anymore. I don't care. I don't need to know a week, 2 weeks, 6 weeks in advance. I'll know when Apple tells me. So we'll talk about that. We're also going to talking about the release date of iOS 10. I'm pretty sure Apple's going to announce that next Wednesday. Probably also the release date of Mac OS Sierra, the next version of the operating system. We might see new iPads. We'll see new Apple Watches, a thinner, more powerful Apple Watch. Unlikely to see any announcements of new Macs, which is a bit of a sticking point for a lot of folks who, who have machines that are a tad overdue to be revised. But I think we're going to see Apple announced new Macs possibly across the line before American Thanksgiving. I'm almost positive that they're going to announce new revisions of at least the iMac, at least 1 or 2 of the laptops, possibly the Mac Pro. I don't think so, but certainly the iMac and the laptops will get revved before American Thanksgiving. It's September 30th, according to Barbra Streisand. What a weird story that was. Somehow Barbra Streisand knows when Apple's going to release new things. Come on. Then the other big story we'll talk to Jim about is the EU yesterday basically told Apple to pay the country of Ireland $14 billion in back taxes. But the country of Ireland may not want it. It's a really weird situation. All kinds of, I wouldn't say information, opinion on both sides. The problem is this is an exceedingly complex and complicated story. Your average tech guy, myself included, has no freaking clue about the machinations behind all this stuff. Unless you have talked to tax experts, and I have talked to a few of them, I still don't understand all of it. Keep in mind, this is going to be appealed by Apple and the Irish government, probably by the Irish government. This is going to take years to figure out. And your opinions on it are generally strongly influenced by how you felt beforehand about how Apple pays its taxes. If you believe, as many do, that Apple does not pay its quote-unquote fair share of taxes, then you think this is a good story. If you believe that Apple is playing by the rules, and they are, is paying by the rules and the EU is overstepping here, then you think this is a bad story. As usual, the truth is somewhere in between. We'll talk about that with Jim later on in the show. In the Starting Point Photography segment, we're going to talk about iPhones and DSLRs. The next iPhone will have a very, very good camera, much like the past iPhone had a very, very good camera. It's going to get better. Will it replace DSLRs? No. Can people buy them instead of DSLRs? Certainly. That doesn't mean DSLRs are dead. It doesn't even mean point and shoots are dead. There's still a place for those cameras. We'll talk about what that place is in the Starting Point Photography segment. I was encouraged by first of all, I got to say this. First of all, let me grab this and pull this up for you guys. I've got to show you this. Where is it? I want to send out a huge personal congratulations to my good friend Vito. Hang on, I'm going to turn this. Go away. Oh, Jesus! I can't get my chat window to go away. For crying out loud. Go away. Okay. To Vito Mori and his lovely wife Becky. They are celebrating their 25th wedding anniversary today. Congratulations to Vito and Becky, two of the nicest people you'd ever want to meet. If you're ever going to be in Prince George, British Columbia, Canada, let me know, let Vito know, and he'll take you to his favorite coffee shop and buy you coffee. He is a wonderful person. Becky is a wonderful person. They have two wonderful daughters. I couldn't be happier for them. You guys know I'm a sentimentalist when it comes to this kind of stuff. I love hearing stories of people who have made it to 25 years. Half their lives they've been together. And I'm very, very proud to have them as friends. So I just wanted to say that right off the top of the show. I was encouraged by somebody to talk about this, the fact that what would you pay to go to Portugal to take pictures? And I asked that because Finisterra Travel is the tour company that I'm working with to do this Portugal trip. And they've got a really neat itinerary. They've got a really neat plan for us. It is, let me just go through this real quick. 9 nights. Oops, let me get that right. 9 nights in lovely, lovely hotels. 4 nights in Lisbon, 2 nights in Porto, 2 nights in the Douro Valley, 1 night in Sintra, in really, really cute little boutique hotels. These are not Holiday Inns. These are charming, picturesque, beautiful hotels. Photography instruction, at least 2 hours a day on a bunch of different modules covering things like general photo tips, travel photo tips. We'll do street photography, landscape photography. We'll talk about editing. We'll talk about black and white images. Sunrise, there'll be a sunrise shoot. There'll be a sunset shoot. There'll be critiques of the images. All transportation, so all transportation from Lisbon to Porto and Porto to Douro and Douro to Sintra. Sightseeing, they've got a bunch of sightseeing. They got tour guides that they're going to have for us. Daily breakfast at the hotel. 4 lunches over the 9 days and 3 group dinners over the 9 days. Private wine tasting at 7 vineyards. A boat trip up the Douro Valley. That's the basics. If you want more information, email me to Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com. But what would you, assuming you can go, and assuming you have the money, what do you think that trip should cost? I don't know. I've never been involved in a trip like this. I've never had an opportunity to even think about going on a trip like this. This kind of boutique, bespoke travel. These guys have set this up specifically for me. This is not a cookie-cutter trip. I've sent them a list of places that I want to go to shoot photos, and I want to take a group of people to shoot photos, a list of things that I need, a list of conditions and places that I want to go. And so they've created this itinerary for me. It's a small group, no more than at least 10 people, but no more than 20. What would be the price that you think this would cost? What do you think a trip like that should cost, not including airfare. Because airfare, for pretty much no one includes airfare because you got to find your own way to a lot of these places. What would the price be? Now, I've had some advice from several of you, and you know who you are, who've told me things like, well, cruise ships charge this much. And it's about the same for the same kind of trip. And cruise ships don't include airfare. Cruise ships don't include excursions. We're including excursions. This trip is including the photography stuff. Like I said, 2 hours a day of photography. The other rest of the day, you're off to do your own thing. You can hang out with me while I go to museums and tile places and get coffee, or you can go off and do your own thing. But what do you think about what the price would be? Dave D says, if you're still doing this in May 2018, I'm in. I hope I am. The goal is to keep doing this. I want this to be a huge success because I want to be doing this literally. I want to do this the rest of my life, to travel and teach photography. That would be the coolest thing in the world. If we can get 10 people, 20 people really fast, we can start working on the next trip right away. But Finisterra has to make money in this. The website is finisterra.ca, F-I-N-I-S, Terra, T-E-R-R-A.ca. But they have to make money. They're a tour company. They have to make money in this, and the less work they do, obviously, the more willing they are to do this kind of stuff. So I'm looking at what you guys are saying in the chat room. Dave D says thinking 2,500 K, 9 days with accommodations. Mosquito says, I want to know that the tour company is going to handle its fair share of advertising this tour. Put up a friggin' webpage. Oh, they're absolutely. We're working the webpage now, Mo. The webpage is being done as we speak. Dave D says, I think our 9-day trip to Germany and Czech Republic was about 3.5K each. The problem is we won't be doing advertising on TV or in the local papers because that's pointless. That's just too scattershot. A lot of it's going to be word of mouth. It's going to be a lot of it me talking to you guys, posting up stuff on Facebook. They're going to be posting stuff on Facebook and on their webpage. It's going to go in their newsletter. I'll talk to my photography meetup group folks. It's going to be a lot of talking about this stuff. So hopefully we can pull this off. Right now, Dave D says 9-day trip to Germany and Czech Republic was about 3.5K each. For you folks in the IRC chat room, I'm going to send you the price point. And only you guys don't pass this number around. This number is not confirmed because of the Canadian dollar. It could go up, it could go down. So that's what the number is for you folks in the IRC chat room. Mosquito says, they can't very well expect people to sign up without having someplace to read about it and hope they get the page up soon. Yeah, the page should be up by the end of this week, Mo. That's our goal, is to get the page up. The trip doesn't have to be confirmed until 3 months ahead of time. So it's going to be early May 5th. So that's April, March, February. So February 5th has to be confirmed. So we've got September, October, November, December, January. We got 5 months to do this. So Dave D says the number seems reasonable. It seems reasonable. Like I said, I have no frame of reference. I've never done a trip like this. I have no clue if that number is a high number, a low number, a reasonable number. It feels reasonable for all the things that you're going to get, for all the plans that they have and the plans that I have. In a wonderful country, Portugal. I did not know how cool Portugal was, both as a travel destination. It's beautiful. Weather-wise, it's fantastic. History-wise, which is a big thing for me, I'd forgotten how much of world history was affected by the Portuguese. I mean, you heard of Macau, that's Portuguese. Vasco da Gama, Portuguese. Columbus was in Portugal looking for money before he went to Spain. That's how much the Portuguese were travelers. History of it is fantastic. The art is gorgeous. The food looks, if you're a seafood lover, the food's fantastic. And it's cheap. A beer in Portugal is $2. That's why I said, we'll be there on my birthday. I'm buying. I'm buying the beer on my birthday because I can afford it. $2 a beer? Yeah. Come join me. I'll buy you beer. I'll buy you several beer. at $2 a pop. So anyway, later on the show, in our starting point photography segment, we'll talk about iPhones versus DSLRs and how one will not replace the other. And up next, though, we're going to talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com about the EU announcements and also about next week's Apple announcements. All that and much more coming up. This is your Mac Life. Welcome back. This is Your Mac Life. I am Shawn King. Thank you guys very much for joining me here this Wednesday evening or in the archive if you so choose. In our phone, we've got our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. Jim, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I am good. Two big announcements or two big news pieces today. We'll start off with the European Union saying that Apple has to pay Ireland $14 billion. What are your thoughts about this in general?
I think it's bullshit.
No, tell us how you really feel.
Look, there's one simple fact in all of this.
Okay.
And I know that people were getting upset with me on Twitter, too, and saying that Apple needs to pay the taxes that it's supposed to pay.
Yep.
Well, one simple fact. Apple has paid every cent of tax that it owes to Ireland.
Correct.
And if you do not believe me, listen to an interview with the Irish government. They say Apple has paid us all that they owe us.
Correct.
So the Irish government also says that the EU is overstepping its bounds and trying to force them to collect taxes from Apple that are not owed.
True.
So, I mean, this isn't just Apple, to be clear. This is all of the companies that are over there, all the multinational companies. This is not something that Apple has done wrong. They have not tried to skirt paying the taxes that it owes. And the EU is trying to get them to pay more for things that they shouldn't be paying for. So
I think part of the problem with people complaining about this is that they ignore the fact that this kind of stuff goes on all the time around the world. People in areas of low economic activity or high unemployment. Jim and I are both from Nova Scotia, so we've known for many, many years that the Canadian government will do things in Nova Scotia in order to drive investment. They'll give tax breaks. They'll give land deals. The Michelin tire plant outside of Bridgewater, Nova Scotia. There's no reason for a Michelin tire plant to be outside of Bridgewater, frickin' Nova Scotia. Except the Canadian government, the Nova Scotia government said, you don't got to pay taxes or here's free land or whatever it might be. So that kind of deal goes on all the time.
And don't forget that in Canada, there are also equalization payments that go to each province.
Yep.
The federal government collects taxes and then pays per province money equal payments to try and bring some economic benefits to those areas.
Yes.
So, every government goes through it, but the EU is overstepping right here. And would the Irish government, in an interview I listened to today, said that they would appeal. Apple is following Irish law. So I don't know what else you can do as a corporation than to follow the law. And all of these companies out there that, that these people that are complaining about Apple, all the companies that are those companies that those people work for are also using the law in their favor. I mean, they will try and pay the least amount of taxes that they can. That's what it is. Now, when the Irish government comes out and says they don't owe us any money,
Yep.
Well, what else can you say?
One of the problems, though, is that this sort of has seemed to, first of all, the Irish government needs the permission of the cabinet to appeal this, and that has not been yet given. Because one of the issues is that as the Irish people have woken up to what this issue is, there was a story in Fortune magazine, a woman said that her mother pays 10 euros tax on a monthly pension of 1,000 euros. She's paying a higher rate to the EU than Apple is. That's going to hurt the Irish people. That's going to make people pissed off at the fact that their government has given such a great deal to companies in general and Apple specifically. The other thing, though, is that people don't realize they've been doing this since 1991, before the EU was even a glimmer in anyone's eye.
Right.
This is not something that just happened over the last little while. This has been going on. This sort of tax haven idea has been going on for a long time.
But
Luxembourg,
it's not a tax haven. They pay all the taxes that they are legally obligated to pay.
Yes, except for the fact that Ireland has used their ability to keep a lower tax rate to attract investors, which everyone does. And what the EU says is that then hurts France and Belgium and the other countries who, for whatever reason, can't lower their tax rate to that. That's the main issue, is that Ireland is using their own laws to hurt other EU countries, and that's where the EU has the problem.
Well, the EU has more problems than that.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that one. The biggest problem, though, that people seem to keep not wrapping their mind around, we've talked about this last year when the American government was doing something similar, the fact that Apple has $200 billion in piggy banks around the world that they won't bring into the U.S. because the U.S. government will tax it at about 40%.
Right.
If you want companies to pay their quote-unquote fair share, don't bitch at the company, bitch at the lawmakers. They created the laws.
Well, and to be clear, again, that money that Apple has in offshore is not money that they currently owe the U.S. government
Correct.
any taxes on.
Correct.
Apple pays the U.S. government. I think they're the highest paying taxpayer in the U.S. They pay the U.S. government every cent of tax that they owe. That money that they would pay like a 40% tax premium on that's money that was made elsewhere, yes, and that they also paid taxes on in those countries.
Yes.
And then bringing it back, they would have to pay tax again.
Yep.
And you know what? I agree with Apple. No, I'm not bringing that money back.
Sure, I agree. Yeah.
They don't have to bring that money back. They have already paid taxes on that money, and there's no reason that they should bring it back.
The problem is that this is a big PR relationship headache, visual headache for Apple, that it makes it look like they're screwing Ireland out of this money, when in fact they're not. They're doing it with the permission of and the laws of Ireland and the United States.
Yes.
They're not breaking the law in any way, shape, or form.
I think that people misunderstood this whole congressional hearings and stuff that went on about Apple hiding money, yep, as it was brought up at that time. No, they weren't. They were not hiding any money. They, in fact, paid taxes on that money.
Yep.
They paid taxes on the money that was made in each country. And I can see why Apple would do that.
Of
I
course.
mean, really, it doesn't make any sense to me why they wouldn't do that. So
Every single one of us, every person out there who has a normal job, not me because I'm a freelancer, but if you have a normal job, you will look to do as much as you possibly can to lower your tax burden. You get child tax credits, you write that off. You get car allowance, you write that off. You write off whatever you can write off. Everyone does the same thing. The problem is, because Apple is such a gigantic target. Back when Apple was doing this in the late 80s and early 90s, it was no big deal. They weren't that big of a company. The money that was being brought in or being spent by the employees Apple hired was greater than the taxes that Apple would likely have paid. No one expected Apple to become the world's largest company. And that's where this has sort of caught Ireland being a rock and a hard place. If Ireland stepped up and said, well, you know what, you guys are making a shitload of money now, let's pay some more taxes. Apple would simply gone, really? Okay, we're moving to Luxembourg. The government of Ireland couldn't afford to lose those jobs. The problem is they're not that many jobs that Apple's not creating as many jobs as that tax break would justify. They're creating maybe 5,000 jobs in Ireland. That means about $123 million per person of tax money that the Irish government isn't getting. So it's kind of hard for the Irish government. Like I said, they're caught between a rock and a hard place. If they raise their tax rate to where it's fair, whatever you decide it to be, Apple could easily say, you know what, we're not even a real company in Ireland. We'll just move our shop to Switzerland or Germany or someplace else.
And they'd be glad to have them.
Exactly. And that's the rock and the hard place thing. And if you did that, then 5,000 people in Ireland would lose their jobs, blame the government. Next election, you're voted out. You're screwed.
Yeah.
This is an intractable problem. The other thing is the news was made yesterday, but I guarantee you we will talk about this again in 5 years. These are not things that happen quickly. These are not things that happen in the spur of the moment. Apple will appeal, and there'll be an appeal of the appeal, and then there'll be negotiations. I think the end result in 5 years' time is Apple agrees to pay X number of dollars, not $14 billion, but Apple will agree to pay $5 billion, and then there'll be a restructuring of Irish law, whatever it might be. Apple's never going to pay $14 billion.
Well, the thing is, okay, here's what I took out of the conversation with the Irish government today. It was an interview on CBC on As It Happens on the podcast, by the way, in case you want to go listen to it. It's the second story in. Very good interview. And the way that I read it is that the Irish government is really kind of pissed off with this because the EU is trying to overwrite Irish tax law.
Yes.
And the government said, we are a sovereign nation.
Yep.
You cannot do this. It's not within your power to do this. So they're very pissed off.
And rightfully so, because this
right.
The other thing is this then affects if the EU can do this with Ireland, they can do it with France and Germany and the other countries. Now, some people are saying this could destroy the EU. No, it won't. It's too much of a bureaucratic hairball for that to happen. But
the Brits pulled out.
No, they haven't.
Well,
they had a non-binding referendum that people wanted them to pull out, but they haven't actually pulled out.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to happen. I think the EU will eventually back off because you're right. Tax law and the military are the two of the most fundamental things every country does to be a nation state. If you can't make your own tax law and can't raise your own military, it's tough to be a nation state.
Yeah.
And I think Ireland's going to fight back on grounds like that. I think they'll win eventually, but yeah, again, this is going to take 5 years before.
Well, even they said that in the interview that this was, an appeal is years down the road.
Exactly. So. Let's talk about next week's Apple event. Jason Snell wrote over at iMore last week, the age of the dramatic Apple event reveal is over, and that's okay. Do you agree with Jason?
Well, to an extent, it kind of is because, you have these dickheads at Apple that know what the products are and everything, leaking the information.
You think they're at Apple?
I think some of them are at Apple, sure. I think some of them are dickheads at supply chains. And So for that type of reveal, yes, it's over from what it was,
Yep.
because so many people touch the products before they're even released these days
Yep.
that you can get the information, and I think that's kind of sad.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Is that a sad thing? Does it hurt Apple, though? Do you believe that? Because one of the arguments that we had in the past, the reason why Apple did this was because it kept their competitors off the scent for a period of time. It built up a lot of hype in the media. It got people excited about these events. Does these lack of these dramatic reveals still hurt Apple?
Well, see, here's what happens. Apple will plan a product. The product starts to get leaked, and people start to see what features are in there, and they say, "Oh, well, that's not cool," And then when Apple releases the product, they said, "Well, we already knew all that.
Yep.
What else do you have?"
Yep.
And yes, that's harmful to Apple.
I think and this is part of the problem with the media, is that we don't do a good enough job managing those expectations. For example, you saw today that there's already people talking about the rumors of the next version of the iPhone in 2017. Piss off! The media drives this hype. The media is the one who force feeds us these specious rumors. The worst rumors I see are the ones from websites like Cult of Mac that say, this rumor is probably false, but we're still going to print it anyway. That really drives the hype machine and gets people excited over things that either aren't going to happen or sometimes even can't happen. And then when those things that aren't going to happen or can't happen don't happen, people get disappointed. And part of it's that's their own fault. I've stopped reading rumors. I'll read rumor headlines as they show up my RSS feed, but I no longer go to those stories because I don't care 6 months ago what these websites thought was going to happen next week. I'll find out next week, and I'll be pleasantly surprised at some of it, and I'll know about some of the other stuff. But we don't need these kind of rumors anymore. We don't. I don't understand why people care. It doesn't make any difference at all that the next iPhone's going to have a 256 gigabyte chip in it. It doesn't matter.
I think part of the biggest part of the problem for me is that the average person believes it all. They don't parse any of it and say, well, maybe. I mean, I had a neighbor say, I hear the new iPhone is going to be completely waterproof.
Yeah.
And I said, what?
That's right.
And he said, yeah, waterproof. And I said, okay, water resistant or waterproof?
Yep.
He said, no, waterproof. I read it on the net. Of
course.
And I said, well, okay, there's a couple of things here. You can't really have anything that's waterproof. And if Apple came out and said an iPhone was waterproof, you would have every diver in the fucking world taking it down to like 100 feet below the ocean and trashing the phone and then saying, there, see, it's not waterproof. I don't think Apple could come out and say that it was waterproof. And he said, well, I read it. That's what they said. And they don't know that information is not coming from Apple.
Yep.
They can't parse that it's not coming from Apple.
But isn't that their own fault for believing what they read in the internet? Don't we know as thinking human beings that 95% of the shit you read in the internet is complete crap?
Well, no.
God damn it.
Not in some of these instances, because I'm being strafed.
Get down, Jim! North by Northwest all over again. Die!
If all of a sudden I think, hey, I might need a new TV, and I go read a TV blog and they say, yeah, the next TV is going to have 3D without glasses.
Yep.
I think, wow, that's cool. Okay. Because I don't work in the TV industry. Yep. I don't really know. So I'll go into the store and say, hey, I heard this TV's coming out and they'll say, no. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what do you have then? And then you're kind of disappointed. Like, I wanted that 3D thing,
That's right.
Damn.
I was all hyped up for it. It's just a never-ending discussion we're always going to have over this stuff. It's not going to go away. There's no stopping it.
If you didn't know motorcycles and, you read on a motorcycle website that there was going to be a self-driving motorcycle and you went into the store and said, I want one of these self-driving things.
Well, and I'm sure it happens in every industry. I do see the same thing in the motorcycle industry. The next version of various kinds of bikes, my FJR, Yamaha FJR included, is scheduled to be released or announced in the next month or so. And my motorcycle forums are ranting and raving about the next color of the bike, or that's going to have X numbers of gears or heated seats or all this other kind of stuff. And they're all doing I see the exact same patterns in that community as I do in the photography community, as I do in the Apple community. It's human nature.
The difference is we know this market.
Yep.
And the listeners of this show know this market. I mean, they are intelligent people, so they will look at these rumors and say, okay, these are rumors, but these three things seem very logical.
Yep.
This one, no, I can't see that ever happening. And this one, maybe. So you go into it with a sense of kind of tearing it all apart and looking at it logically. But if you didn't know, like most people don't, then you just, it's a printed story. And, especially with Gurman at Bloomberg, you look at it and say, well, this is Bloomberg.
Yep.
This must be true.
Yep, that's right.
And, not all of it is.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what to expect from Apple's CU iPhone event. The invites went out earlier next week. I think it's a fair assumption we're going to see iPhones. We're going to see iPhone 7s. Whether they're called that or not, I don't know. We're guaranteed of seeing iPhone 7s. Now, the question is, and take your best guess at this, will there be a headphone port or not?
Well, I read on a website that there wasn't going to be.
I heard it's going to be waterproof. To like 1,000 feet.
Yeah, they're going to strap it onto a submarine and take it down to test.
They've already got Jim Cameron working on the ads. He's taking it to the Titanic.
Yeah, gosh, I will it? I don't know. I mean,
do you care one way or the other? Do you think it'd be better or worse with basically wireless headphones? What's your experience with wireless headphones?
They suck.
Yeah, that's what I say too.
Now, so there's a couple of different things that if it doesn't have, and I've said this all along, and people, I know people are all over the headphone jack thing, but Apple, I don't believe, would do it unless they had an adapter where you could plug in your existing headphones. I've said that.
Yep.
And if they are working on wireless, which would make perfect sense because they have the technology, Bluetooth now is better than what it's ever been before, and it can handle audio a lot better. And audio is a very tricky thing to handle. And they do own this headphone company, even though they're not that good. They do own a headphone company.
Yep.
And they can, put them to work. And, Beats has wireless headphones.
Yep.
So, if Apple's going to come up with some new wireless headphones and leave a port, leave an adapter in the box so that you can plug in your existing headphones, then who cares? Who cares? I don't.
We also have to keep in mind, too, that Apple is not an audiophile company. They're not going to be making the world's greatest headphones or the greatest wireless set. If it's good enough for the average person, keep in mind, Apple's put in the box for years really shitty headphones that the average person doesn't know are really shitty headphones.
They're not that bad.
There's a lot better for $30 out there. Come on.
Well, I don't know about that.
But what I'm saying is Apple will go with good enough on this wireless stuff.
I don't know. I don't know if they would. That's a tricky thing to see if they would actually go with good enough, only because they're trying, with Apple Music to make that a good thing. So I don't know if good enough is good enough.
So there's not. That's what we're going to see from the iPhone. the most controversial aspect of it is going to be headphone port or no headphone port. Hopefully, we'll get a. I think the most interesting thing to me is iOS 10, not the phone per se, but iOS 10 and what it's going to do and what it's going to be capable of doing with a new iPhone and the new camera and how the new camera is going to be. I think iOS 10 and the camera are going to be the most interesting aspects of this announcement next week.
See, I go into it already knowing that no camera is going to make me take good pictures.
Well, yeah, you're a crappy photographer. There's nothing Apple can do about that.
No.
What about the Apple? What about the Apple Watch? You think we're going to see the first Apple Watch refresh?
Look, and I've said this before too. I think that anything iOS related is a possibility next week. And Apple Watch is iOS related. Apple TV is iOS related.
Yeah.
Their iPad is iOS. I think that they could reasonably talk about iPhone is the main thing.
Yes.
And then anything else except the Mac.
Yes.
So, for me, if they talk about Watch, would I be surprised? No. If they talked about, iPad or Apple TV, would I be surprised? No. No.
I think I'd be mildly surprised at any Apple TV news. I think we're not going to hear anything about the Macintosh. We're not going to hear. That's going to happen, as I said earlier in the show, sometime before American Thanksgiving. I think we're going to see new iMacs and new laptops. I don't know about the Mac Pro, but we're definitely going to see that stuff before Thanksgiving. I don't think we're going to see it at this event at all because Apple tends to focus on, like you said, iOS stuff. We'll get a release date of iOS 10 and probably a release date of Sierra too.
I mean, people have called me out on internet and email about my. I mean, I don't think I left any doubt in my feelings that there will not be any Macs next week, and maybe I'm completely wrong in my thoughts. It could very well be. I don't think so. I think that I'm bang on.
Yeah.
So we'll wait and see, and that's what I told the people that were saying, no, you're wrong, they are going to have Macs as well, then we'll wait and see.
Yep, we'll see.
One of us is going to be wrong. I don't really care because I think I laid out a reasonable argument and explanation for my thoughts. And if I'm wrong with those thoughts, then maybe I don't know Apple as well as I thought I did.
You wrote an interesting article on the Loop, loopinsight.com, Our Unreasonable Expectations of Apple. That comes out of the things that you and I have been talking about for years, the fact that we have reasonable and unreasonable expectations of Apple, and Apple has reasonable and unreasonable expectations of themselves, too. I don't think there's anything new in your article. It's typically well-written, well thought out. But I think it comes down to – sorry – do you agree with me that it comes down to the way Apple manages these expectations or the way we as human beings or the media manages the expectations?
I think it's a bit of both because the media fuels the fire of Apple isn't doing enough.
Yeah.
Well, my question to those people is what is it you would like Apple to do? So take the Skylake chips, for instance, that Intel put out. They were a disaster. They had low yields. They had a bug in them that didn't allow them to process loads of data correctly.
Yep.
And they admitted that there was a bug in them. So what if Apple had have released a MacBook, say, in a MacBook Pro in, June? Just pick a date, June. What if they released one there and it was just so screwed up that you couldn't do anything with it? It wouldn't be, Intel screwed up. It would be Apple's MacBook sucks. So you can't, as I said in the article, sometimes we expect Apple to think for us because they know things that we don't know. They knew that Skylake was a piece of crap. So would an upgrade at WDC with, the same processor and a couple extra little chip upgrades been enough? No. We would have been screaming at them for that.
That's right. That's right.
If they upgraded a little bit, we would have screamed at them. If they upgraded to Skylake, it would have been an unmitigated disaster.
Yep.
And so the other choice is to criticize them because they didn't do anything at all.
That's right.
So they get criticized regardless of what they do, but at least they didn't have a disaster. So I think that they made the right decision.
Yep. Yeah, I don't disagree with you. The only issue I ever have with this stuff is, and I understand why they do it, it would be nice if Apple helped us manage expectations by talking to us more.
I don't agree.
I know. I mean, we've talked about this before. But if they would do more, and they're doing a lot of PR stuff now, the interviews we saw with Fast Company and other folks, it would be nice if they did a little bit more that said, you know what, these chips aren't up to our standards. We're gonna wait. If they said something like that, then people would go, oh, okay, that's fine.
I don't know. I don't know if they would, and I think that it would give away a lot too to competitors. I mean, the first paragraph of that story today was, how many times have you heard somebody talk about Dell or HP's new products with the exuberance that we talk about Apple?
That's right.
Never.
Yep.
Never. Because our expectations for those companies are so low that we just don't care.
And sometimes our expectations are too high. And I'm surprised. I'm shocked and appalled to see this story on the Loop. This should not happen when you sit on your Apple TV remote. Are you shitting me? Are you kidding me? But no, I'm sorry, Dave Mark. I love you, Dave Mark, like the brother I've never met. But, dude, you sat on a consumer electronics device, and somehow he's blaming Apple. That's the part that gets me. He said basically that Apple should make a remote that you can sit on. No company makes a remote you can sit on.
No. That's well, and if you remember back to when that guy dropped his remote smash, it's glass. You know, if you're going to drop it, it's going to smash. If you're going to sit on it, it's going to break. I made fun of that guy shamelessly.
Now I agree that it's a overly way too high a price. Yes, it's made of glass, which is dumb. It's ergonomic. It's awful, but you can't expect it to be sittable. You can't expect that you can sit on it. And here's the solution, Dave. Don't put it on the couch, dude.
Well, you know, it was funny the day that I saw that. I do understand Dave's point that looked pretty messed up for just having sat on.
I'm surprised he doesn't have shards of glass in his ass. Hello.
It did look pretty messed up considering that he sat on it.
That's right.
I mean, and I'll be honest, I went to the couch that night and went to plop down and stop myself and look for the remote. I did. You know, like, oh, where is it? Where is it?
So, I always make sure I put my remote on the coffee table in front of me because even if you don't sit on it, it slides into the cushions like it jumps in there.
And if Dave could do that to his remote, mine would explode and blow up if I sat on it.
Exactly. Imagine going to the ER with that explanation. Yeah, why is the remote in your ass, sir? You know.
Well, you see, it's an Apple remote. Oh, okay, we get it.
That's right. You're the fourth guy we've seen tonight, kind of thing. Yeah, but and I completely agree that at $80, that's ridiculous. $80 for this remote is you're stealing money from people, Apple.
Now, I'll tell you, I do love that remote.
Really, I hate it.
Well, no, okay. There are some things that I don't like about it, but overall, I think the remote idea with the little touch screen. Because you can do different things by touching, and like if you touch at the top when you're listening to music, and you can fast forward by touching to the left side or the right side, and there's all kinds of different things. The remote is great in those aspects. The Siri is great to be able to search for stuff. So they had the right idea. But we also expect Apple to come out with well-made products, and I think that this remote is well-made. I mean, it's got glass. It's it obviously breaks when dumbheads drop it on the ground, and when Dave mistakenly sits on it with his big ass. So
Oh dear! I saw that in my RSS feed, and it didn't have anything else, just the RSS feed, and I thought, what frickin' idiot did this. Oh, sorry, Dave.
Sorry, Dave.
sorry, Dave. I know this idiot personally.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's finish up on this story. And I'm sorry, this gets weirder and weirder. Apple adds Jessica Alba to Planet of the Apps reality show.
Okay.
What the hell?
I'm going to be honest with you here. I saw that the other day. In my RSS feed, by the way.
Yep.
And I didn't even read it. I didn't even read it. I just thought, I don't fucking care.
It feels like it's like an April Fool's joke now. Gwyneth Paltrow, Will.i.am, and now Jessica frickin' Alba. And according to the Verge story, the logic of why Apple's doing this is Alba founded the Honest Company in 2011 and has been selling natural, think non-GMO, gluten-free, organic baby products since then. Earlier this year, she also launched a natural makeup brand called Honest Beauty. Well, good for her, but what the hell does that have to do with developing apps?
Yeah, and do you think she's out there doing that herself? No.
I just don't.
No.
It's bizarre. It's utterly bizarre. The guys they should be having doing this are people like the folks at Black Pixel or someone at Microsoft or someone who's got freaking experience developing apps.
Yeah.
This show is going to be the weirdest thing on TV.
Yeah, I agree.
I just do not understand how and why Apple is taking this direction and thinking it's going to somehow be compelling television. I mean, it's bad enough it's going to be about developing, but now you've got these people who are completely unknown to the developing community, who are just seem to be celebrities for the sake of being. They're not even huge celebrities. They're sort of like C-level, B-level celebrities. I just don't. I don't get it. I don't get it.
You might have wanted to end off on something else. Pick something else. Talk about something else.
No, we're done. You have to go.
Do I?
Yeah, you do. Folks, we've been talking to Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. Make sure you come back next week, if nothing else, because next week we'll be talking about all the stuff that Apple announced, and Jim will have his own hands-on descriptions of those things, assuming Apple lets him get his greasy mitts on them. Jim Dalrymple from The Loop, thanks very much, buddy.
Thanks, Shawn.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, next week is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be really interesting to see what Apple brings out. What do you guys think? What do you think? Good iPhone 7, yes. That's a gimme. What I'm waiting for is the camera on iPhone 7. Being a photographer, I want to know how much better that camera is going to be over my iPhone 6S. That's the most important thing to me. I've seen all the stuff about iOS 10 and my machine, my old iPhone, will do the iOS 10, most of the iOS 10 stuff. It doesn't do 3D touch, but I don't care about that stuff. To me, it's going to be about the camera. What's going to be important to you? What are you looking forward to in an iPhone 7? What will get you to buy an iPhone 7? Will it be storage space? Will it be a particular feature? Will it be the camera? Will it be price? Will it be size? On air, yourmaclifeshow.com. If you want to talk to me about what's going to get you to buy the next version of the iPhone. Speaking of the next version of the iPhone and the camera on the next version of the iPhone, we know it's going to be a good camera. We know the previous iPhones have had good cameras, even excellent cameras, depending on the kind of shooting you do and where you shoot. One of the problems that we have, though, is people keep thinking that the iPhone is a DSLR. The iPhone's a very good camera for a phone. Okay? We have to keep adding that for a phone in there. Yes, it does beat a lot of point and shoots. It does not beat any DSLR on the market. Any of them. For two very simple reasons. And these are two important reasons that whenever you see somebody like these numbnuts at 9 to 5 Mac who somehow seem to say the iPhone killed the point and shoot, now the iPhone 7 is coming after DSLRs. No one at Apple believes the iPhone 7 would replace DSLRs in general. Now, the iPhone has replaced DSLRs for a lot of people. But that's because that's their particular situation. They don't want to carry around a big camera. They don't want to carry around two cameras, their iPhone and their DSLR. But the two reasons, got to grab my camera. As I've often said in my classes and on this show, photography is about capturing light. Okay? It's about gathering light. It's about shaping light. It's about seeing light. It's all about light. When you push the shutter button on any camera, whether it's your iPhone, whether it's your point and shoot, whether it's a DSLR, light has to enter the camera lens and hit the sensor. That's just the basics of it. So there is the hole through which light gets into the iPhone. Okay, that hole is easily covered up by 1/4 of my finger. That hole that gathers light is not very big. Compare that hole to an average size DSLR. This is my Nikon M1. Look at the size of the holes, kids. Which one of these two things do you think is going to grab more light? The one with the bigger hole. It's going to get more light than the one with the smaller hole. That's just physics. That alone is a good enough reason to say a DSLR will take better pictures than an iPhone. The second reason is inside this great big huge camera phone is a little teeny tiny sensor that captures the images. The light hits the sensor then translates that light into data, ones and zeros. And that's what you see on your screen. It's a fact that the bigger the sensor, the better quality in general you're going to get from your images. Now, the sensor on an iPhone is tiny. I want to say it's 1/8 of an inch. Oh, let me see if I can't find this real quick. The sensor on an iPhone is remarkably small, ridiculously small, compared to the sensor you're going to find on almost any point and shoot camera on any DSLR. My Nikon D50 has a sensor on it that is called a full frame sensor. And what that means is it's the same size for the most part as the average. Remember the slides when we were kids that they would put in the slide projector? That's the size of the sensor on a DSLR, on a full frame DSLR. I'm just trying to find a picture here that I have of. There we go. There it is. See, hang on. Take a screenshot, and there's the screenshot, and then I'll take the screenshot and put it on the screen. Don't cancel that. Desktop, screenshot. So I'm going to show you guys a picture of screens for the comparison of the iPhone. So here we go. So down here in the lower left-hand corner is the size of the iPhone. It's 17.3 millimeters. Next up is the Micro Four Thirds. So on this camera, this is a Micro Four Thirds camera. That's the size of the sensor on this mirrorless camera. Next up is the APS sensor, which is generally the beginning Canon, the Rebel XTI, the Nikon D3300, those kind of cameras. And last is the full frame camera that's on the Nikon D600, like I have, the Canon, I think the 5 Mark D3, whatever the hell it might be. They're huge in comparison. Those two reasons, the amount of light gathering capabilities and the size of the sensor, are why a DSLR will always take, given all other things being equal, a DSLR will take better pictures, will create better images than the equivalent iPhone. Don't let anyone tell you anything different, because the laws of physics prove the DSLR will be better. Now, granted, I'm not saying you can't take good pictures with the iPhone. I've taken great pictures with the iPhone, but I've taken great pictures with the DSLR. You can be creative with an iPhone, not with the picture, but with the post-production. I can do editing on the iPhone that I obviously can't do on a DSLR. But I can get images out of a DSLR that I can edit to a greater degree than I can from the iPhone because they're shot in RAW. The photos also be bigger physically, data-wise, so I can print them off into bigger sizes. It's not a either-or thing. It's not an iPhone or a DSLR. And by the way, even point-and-shoots still have their places. Even little tiny point-and-shoots, compact cameras, still for a specific segment of the audience, has their place. For example, I would never take my iPhone to the beach. I would never take my iPhone underwater. Same with my DSLRs. I'm not taking my DSLR and mounting it on my motorcycle. I've done that with my compact cameras. I've taken my compact camera skiing with me. I've thrown it around in the snow. I'll take it out in the rain. My Olympus TG850 took my underwater shot when I was on vacation last year. So those kind of cameras still have a place. I highly recommend compact cameras for kids. If you have a kid who seems to be interested in photography, I'm talking 6, 7, 8, 10, even up to 14, 15 years old, a compact camera is going to be a better idea for them because if you buy the right one, they're tougher, they're more robust than a DSLR or an iPhone. MacMan says, yeah, I have a waterproof Fuji for going to the beach. Dave D says, DSLR ISO will also continue to improve. If I can shoot ISO 32,000 with f1.4, I'm set. I'll never have to use the flash again. Another issue with the iPhone, it has a set aperture of f2.2. Now, for those of you who have taken my class or know what aperture means, that means it has a depth of field of a certain amount. And that's unchangeable on the iPhone. You cannot change your aperture on the iPhone. But on DSLRs, even many point and shoots and compact cameras, you can change the aperture to anything depending on the lens. This lens, for example, is I can't see it, too tiny, f4.8 to f6.7. So I've got a range of apertures I can play around with to be more creative with my photography. So you can take great shots with the iPhone. You can take great creative shots with the iPhone. But the range of those shots is much narrower in the iPhone. It's why the iPhone sucks at low light. You go into a bar with some friends, you're going to get ugly, grainy images with the iPhone, with crappy flash. I go into a bar with a good DSLR, I can take some very, very good shots in dark situations. When we go to Portugal next May, there's going to be a lot of museum stuff, a lot of church stuff. There's some beautiful, beautiful churches in Portugal. I'm not going to take any of those church pictures with my iPhone because they won't come out because they're going to be dark. I'm going to use a DSLR where I can open up the aperture and I can increase the ISO. So I just want to refute the idea that the iPhone is somehow coming after the DSLRs. When you get a chance, right now, if you can, go to a website called Flag. It's FLAG. And what Flag is, FL.AG. Flag is a really neat app. It's a company that is in beta test right now, so you can join their beta test group. And what it is that they are allowing you to order free prints off of your camera roll. Now, because they're in beta test, you sign up for the beta test list, and they'll put your name on the list. But what you do is you get 20 free prints when you sign up. And you open up the app, and then you order prints, and it says, please select up to 20 photos to print for free. And so you scroll through your photos, and you just tap on them. So we can do this back. So this is one, down, and down here it's got the number of the prints. And then when you're ready to go, you give me your address. And they mail you 20 free prints. That's kind of cool. So I did that when I first heard of the company about a month ago. And last week I got the prints. And they're varying sizes. There's some that are this size, but there are some that are full-sized. And there are some that are kind of long size. It's kind of a neat idea. It's on high-quality paper. And the neat thing is how this company's going to make money. So there's a print of me and my friend John on our motorcycles. Is that coming out? There we go. Me and John on the motorcycles. Here's a shot of the waterfalls at Bridal Falls that I went to. Here's a shot of the... Is this right side up? Where's this? Yes. Shot of the clock tower in the train station here in Vancouver. And one of my favorite shots is the chandelier in the Orpheum Theater. Well, how this company makes money is really interesting. You see the back of this? They're going to put ads on the back of your photos, which is a neat idea because they're ads that you're not going to throw away. If you like the photo, you won't throw away the ad. I think that's insanely clever of them. They actually say on the back, it says, this is obviously a rush job written late at night, blah, blah, blah. The back of a photo has been wasted space for over 100 years. So putting an ad here doesn't make your day worse or your prints less perfect. Even better, because your photos are more interesting to you than an ad anyone with any amount of money could design, we don't have to worry about getting your attention. This simple chunk of typo-laden text gets noticed, kept, and shared, not because it's good, but thanks to the photo it lives on. So unlike the clever, glossy, multi-million-dollar ads you're bombarded with online and off, this crappy one will be part of your life for as long as this photo is. It could outlast you. As the odds on you putting together something less compelling than this drivel are near zero, why don't you give Advertising the Flag a shot? They've got a little QR code at the bottom of it. So they'll put ads back here. But you're not going to see them because you'll be looking at this part. I think a different size photos. I think this is a great idea. And the thing is, after you get your 20 free ones, every month you get 20 more for only $10 of shipping. So each month you can order 20 photos off your camera roll and only pay $10 shipping. So 50 cents a photo. That's a good deal. MacMan says, as long as you can't see the text through the photo, that's an interesting idea. Well, can you? Can you see the text through this photo? Can you see the photo through this text? So, yeah, I know what you're saying, but I'm looking at this photo in ordinary, everyday light, and I can't see the text that's on the back of this photo. And the other thing is the pictures come out really nice. I'm not crazy about the border, but that's my own personal choice. But these come out just the way that I have them on the phone. These are two shots that I know really well because they were from the vacation in Mexico, and the colors are really good. The colors are true to what I edited and shot them with. They're not glossy, but they're not matte. They're sort of in between. I like the photos, and they're free, so it's really cool. Dave V says 50 cents, not too bad. Target runs about 30 cents. Seeing as that MacMan says $10 for 20 prints, seeing as I can get them for about 28 cents at Target or somewhere similar. Yeah, you can certainly get them cheaper. But I'm saying this is... Monty says, my first Macworld Expo, meeting up with Shawn and a few others from here on, even one evening in a pub. Shawn brought the Nikon he was using. That would have been the Nikon D4S, Monty. Greg Gare and Logan stopped by at some point. Logan sat in the corner, nibbled on a plate of chicken fingers and fries. He's about 2 or 3 at the time. He was heavily in the shadows. Playing with Shawn's camera, I took a few shots of Logan that would never have been possible on anything else. Yeah, Monty, that camera was the D4S, and you were shooting at, I know because I set the camera up for this, at ISO 12,800. And you were getting really good shots because the ISO on those cameras is insane. And they've only gotten better. That was 5 years ago? Longer? 6 years ago? And the ISO has just gotten better on those shots. So I talked about this earlier. In the pre-show. This is without a doubt the most American sentence I read all week. Youngman said she had just returned from church and was cleaning her 2 shotguns on the porch. That sentence just cracked me up. Now, how American is that? It turns out Youngman is a woman, 65 years old, in, I think, Virginia, who just shot down a drone. Apparently, the drone, she lived next door to Robert Duvall, the actor. And so paparazzi have been coming around trying to take pictures of Robert Duvall and his property. So these 2 yahoos set up on the road outside Robert Duvall's home and send their drone out to take pictures of Duvall's property. Well, I guess they either weren't good drone flyers or there's a wind or something. The drone drifted over to Ms. Youngman's property. So because she's a good God-fearing woman who had just come home from church and was sitting on the front porch cleaning her shotguns, 2 of them, she blew that sucker out of the sky. She blowed up their drone. I'm reading this story and laughing out loud, thinking how hilarious this is. Just the mental picture, both on her side on her porch and on the drone owner's side. So from her side on the porch, she's, doing whatever you do to clean a shotgun. I wouldn't have a clue why you clean a shotgun. She looks up and she's a murr. You don't cock a shotgun. Okay, so if she's cleaning it, there means there's hopefully in theory, no bullets in it. So she would have seen this drone over her property. She would have put 2 shotgun shells in it, closed up the shotgun, and just blasted this thing out of the sky. Now, from the point of view of the paparazzi, they're like, holy shit, she just blew up our drone. Let's go get her. No, we can't. Because to go get her means going on her property, and she's already shown she's a good enough shot to take down a drone, dude. You are not going to escape her. She's going to shoot you. I get the idea, as Monty said earlier, that it's illegal to shoot down drones. I got no sympathy for you. You're being a paparazzi asshole. You're invading the personal space of Mr. Robert Duvall or somebody else. You don't have enough control over your drone to prevent it from flying over someone else's property. And you're over someone else's property who's cleaning shotguns on their front porch. I got no sympathy for you, dude. None whatsoever. You lost a $3,000 drone. Guess what? Just chalked it up to experience. Chalked it up to that's the way the cookie crumbles. That's just the way it is. All right, if you got any emails, send the emails off to Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com. I love getting emails from you guys. You all know that. You know I like getting emails, either during the week or during the show, however you so choose to send me emails. Let me get to my email folder. Where is it? There it is. I got a really interesting email from our friend Don Beck. Don is, it turns out Don's a square dancer. I knew this. But Don goes on square dancing trips. Very similar to the photography trip that I've been talking about. And he sent me some URLs for various square dancing trips he's gone in Europe. And it's about the same price. So it's a little more expensive on trips he's gone to Germany and trips he's gone to in other places. So that makes me feel good. And folks in the RC chat room were also telling me that the prices aren't out of line with either A, what they expected, or what they've seen in other places or other trips they've gone on. So that makes it feel a little bit better to know that the pricing, while it's expensive, I'm not going to lie, this is not a budget student friendly trip. This is not a flight center trip that you, or a Travelocity trip that they just sort of send you on your way. This is a custom designed trip. This is the trip I want to do in the places I want to go. Belém Tower, which is a beautiful building in Portugal. The National Tile Museum. For some reason, I've always been fascinated by tiles. And Portugal is very, very well known for its blue tiles. There's a couple of beautiful, beautiful buildings that we're going to go to take pictures of the tiles. You know what? Here's how bespoke this trip is. I contacted the tour company. They said, when would you like to go? They said April, May, best time to go. I said, okay, early May would be great. And I said, can we arrange to be in Lisbon on my birthday, May 7th? I think that'd be kind of cool. And then I checked the moon charts. And I found out there's going to be a full moon in Lisbon on the 9th, 10th, and 11th, I think. I wrote to them and said, can we arrange to be in Lisbon on these nights, these full moon nights? I said, yeah, sure. They said, we'll check it out. If we can arrange it, we'll do it. That's how accommodating these guys are. That's how willing they are to work with me to make this trip to be the trip I want it to be. Is that they'll change the date just so we can get a full moon shot. And that's what I want to do. I've already got it planned out. There's a location in Lisbon is a very hilly city. There's 7 hills in Lisbon. And so you get these beautiful views from these, I think they're called Maduros, which are viewpoints in Portugal. And I've already planned out the locations for moonrise shoot. We'll go to like a high point of land overlooking Lisbon, and the moon will be rising up over the city, and we'll get moonrise shots. Same with sunset shots. We'll obviously flip it around and get shots of the sunset. So the Finisterra Travel is working really hard to make this be the trip I want it to be. I'll show you. I'll give you guys a tease on the hotels. Now, these aren't the exact hotels. These are the hotels they're planning on, but all the hotels are going to be similar to these ones. Like I said, they're going to be specific, very, very nice boutique hotels. This is one of the hotels that we're planning on staying in Lisbon. Look at the view out the window of this hotel. This is the rooftop bar of that hotel. I'm going to be at this rooftop bar on my birthday. Join me. I swear to God, I'm going to be having a beer in that seat right there on my birthday. This is one of the hotels in Porto, the second largest city in Lisbon. Look at the view, and this. I'm sorry, I've already claimed this room. This is the views. Oh shoot! Sorry, I hit the wrong button. The views of these hotels are just spectacularly pretty, just so nice and so inviting. That's the river Douro. In the middle ground, in the background is the banks of the city of Porto. And this cute little one is the hotel we're going to stay at in Douro. The hotel in Porto is actually a UNESCO World Heritage Site. That's the kind of hotel we're staying in. Again, not going to be Holiday Inns. This is not going to be a little cheesy, cheap place. Look at this place in Sintra. I think this one is. Just beautiful, beautiful hotels. Dave D says you're buying. I said, I'm buying beer on my birthday. If you're in that hotel bar with me on my birthday, hell yes, I'm buying the beer. Absolutely. Celebrating my 50th birthday. Shut up. I'm celebrating 50th. MacMan, I'm having a brain fart. Is Lisbon on the coast or close to it? Yeah, MacMan is directly on the coast. Actually, Lisbon was often described as the end of the world in those days because they didn't know what was beyond Lisbon. But Lisbon is right on the ocean, west coast, right on the Atlantic. Dave D says, not student friendly. Does that mean no sex? No, have all the sex you want. If you're paying this kind of money, you better have sex. Not with me. But with your significant other in these beautiful hotels, in this romantic place, yeah, you better. No, but I don't want to give anyone the impression that this is going to be some sort of budget travel trip. This is a Europe on $50 a day kind of thing. No, this is an expensive trip. This is not cheap. But I really think it's worth it for the value you get. Not just the trip that they've planned, but the photography stuff. You're going to spend 2 hours a day learning how to become a better photographer. It's going to be at least an hour, hour and a half each morning learning the theory, and then at least another hour going to a place and putting that theory into practice. So the day we learn about street photography, I'll give you tips and tricks about street photography, and then we're going to go out in the street and shoot. When we talk about a sunset trip, we're going to go out at sunset and do that photography. When we talk about black and white, I'll give you the tips and tricks about setting your camera up for black and white. Then we're going to go out and shoot black and white. So it's going to be theory and hands-on, at least 2 hours a day. And then the rest of the day, You're off to do whatever it is you want to do. If you want to, like I said, hang around with me while I go to the Tile Museum or while I go to the neighborhoods and shoot street art, you're more than welcome to do that. So it's kind of both a educational trip, but also a real vacation. And I hope people are interested in both those things, both the education aspect of it, but also the fun aspect of it. They're just going to this beautiful. Do some research on Portugal. If you're thinking about this, do a Flickr search for Portugal. Do a search on Wikipedia for Portugal. Read some stuff about it. Read some stuff about Lisbon. The places we're going to be going are Lisbon, Porto, the Douro Valley, and Sintra. And oh my God, Sintra. If you haven't seen Sintra, look at this picture of Sintra. It looks beautiful. It looks absolutely stunning, like a Disney castle, even though it was built well before Disney. And apparently the insides of this is called the Pena Palace. The insides of this are just as beautiful as the outsides of it. I'm really looking forward. If there was any other place in Portugal I was looking to take pictures of, this Sintra Palace is the number one place for me that I really, really want to go and take pictures of because it looks just utterly gorgeous. MacMan says, is there a discount if you volunteer to make sure Shawn doesn't leave stuff everywhere for a day? MacMan, someone beat you to it. There's already somebody who's already volunteered to go on the trip and basically be my handler because it's true. We all know it's true. We all know I'm an idiot and I will leave shit behind. And this person knows me. They've been on trips with me, and they know I leave shit behind. So they said for a discount, and basically what it is, I'm picking up their food. I'm buying their food for them. They still got to fly to Lisbon. They still got to pay for the trip, but I'm picking up their food so I don't leave stuff behind. No, not Kimbo. Hell no, not Kimbo. And not Sly either. Sly wouldn't go on the trip with me, and I wouldn't take Kimbo. And even when Sly and I were going to Mackerel Expo, she wouldn't watch my stuff either. She always told me, you're on your own. You're by yourself. Yeah, MacMan, I mean, you forgot to bring pants to your own wedding. Yeah, he's right. I did. That's how much of a doofus I am. I forgot my own pants. Anyway, if you want more information, you want some more details, send me an email, Shawn@yourmaclifeshow.com. Even if you're just curious, if you have an interest or know somebody who might be interested in it. We only need 10 people to make this trip a reality. I got 5 months to get 10 people. Hopefully I can do that because the idea of this, to me, is so exciting, and it's going to be so much fun to go to a beautiful country and hang out with people, teach them how to take good pictures, and then watch them become better photographers. That's going to be really, really exciting to me. And like I said, hopefully this builds into becoming my job. This is what I would like to do with the rest of my life, is travel and teach people to take pictures. That would just be a joy for me. And if you guys can help me out, either by suggesting to your friends that this would be a good trip or coming with me, I guarantee it's going to be a good time. Guaranteed. That's just because I can't help but have a good time when I travel. So you'll have fun regardless. I want to say thanks very much, as always, to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. Next Wednesday morning at 10 a.m., if you'd like, please join me in our Telegram room. We're going to be watching the live stream of the Apple keynote, of the Apple event, next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. You're more than welcome to join us in the Telegram room. I'll tweet about this, too, later on in the week. And then on the next week's show in the evening, we're obviously going to be talking about this kind of stuff, what Apple announced, what they didn't announce, what they will announce in the future, and our thoughts and opinions about it. So until then, as always, I want to say thank you guys very much for being tuned into the show, whether listening into the archive or whether you tune into the live version. As always, I've been Shawn King, and you're listening to Your Mac Life. See ya!